Okay, so we are back with Skype rustled into some form of functionality. Joining us is Steve O.
Hello, it is I, Diero. I'm back, and I'm back to unleash my terrifying flurry of hand-thrown axes, and also to take out people like let's see, Mr. Man. No, do you work with my criminal pals like Mr. Mandaros to
Yep.
try and promote my image and reputation?
Okay. Okay. So the so just before you got in, Steve, they were having the guys were meeting with Duke Adrian in his study, talking about. They had talked quite a bit about the threat of the Cult of the Dragon, what happened with them, what brought them to Baldur's Gate, and then they were just in the midst of showing, or rather, Beradin had sort of taken the lead to sort of describe what had happened with Miracle, that ritual that you guys disrupted 2 sessions ago. And Malark jumped in and started sharing about some of his dreams. Remembered he's got his paintings with him and was kind of showing his several of the paintings. When it got to the one that was of that dream that Malark had maybe like 6 sessions ago, in that kind of misty graveyard where there were the empty windows in that abandoned church that were slowly filling themselves up with stained glass icons of the two of the dead trio of gods. As soon as you see that one or the one that had the completed symbol of Baal, and the symbol of Baal, incidentally, is that.
Bum, bum, bum.
So that symbol of a fleshless skull with burning eyes surrounded by droplets of blood. That was the stylized symbol that was in that stained glass. Duke Adrian steps forward and kind of touches his hand to kind of stops you from flipping through the rest of the canvases, and looks up at you, Malark, and says, "You saw this in your dream?"
That is correct.
You know what that symbol is, then?
Do I?
Yes, that is the symbol of Baal, one of the dead trio. Well, formerly dead trio.
So that's what I'll say. Yes, it is the symbol of Baal.
He kind of smirks just a little bit in kind of a wryful or sad way and says, "How much have you heard about me, then? You know of my history?"
No, we know none of your history.
Diero does. Diero, you know that it's rumored that his father is Baal.
Right. I try to avoid those sorts of thoughts. I can't possibly begin to imagine what the consequences of that are.
He looks up at you. He says, "Your accent. It's been... Are you from Athkatla?"
I am from Am.
Yep, Athkatla is the capital city of Am.
Right. But I like to think I'm Amian more than Kathlakian.
I thought so. I thought I recognized I lived in Athkatla for a number of years. Perhaps we can adjourn. Tell me, when was the last time you had Omnian cuisine?
Well, let me see. Well, I guess not since I left.
I have. There's much to discuss, and to do so on an empty stomach is... I welcome any excuse to indulge. It's been years, decades in fact, since I've lived in but there is an establishment near not far from here called The Last Coin. Steve, you know that actually The Last Coin is an old Omnian saying that there's an old Omnian adage, because is so linked with trade and mercantile. Like, that's the only value that the culture really places on people, is how much money they make. There's a saying that you never part with your last coin, or rather, I guess, that you only part with it once. The Last Coin is clearly, the restaurant is a reference to that old Omnian adage. I guess the appropriate adage is that you only part with your... a wise man parts with his last coin only once. So, he says there is a family that hosts, has had 3 generations of their family that has been dealing with this, running this establishment. Please allow me to change. Did you just arrive in town today?
More or less, yes.
Then please, do you have anywhere? How long are you planning to stay in town? When is this caravan expected?
We believe the caravan is expected within 2 weeks.
You have 2 weeks then. Then, if you have no other arrangements, then I invite you to please, would you enjoy the hospitality of my home, such as it is.
Okay.
Wonderful. I don't have the ducal manners that the other 3 dukes have, but what I have is yours to enjoy. I feel that there's much more to discuss than we will be able to deal with in an afternoon's discussion. So, if you arrived, I will have you shown to quarters, and I will arrange for you to wash up, and then we will go and we will eat. And he's looking at you, Diero. We will eat Omnian food.
Oh, that sounds great.
Then please, he asks Wrenn to show you to quarters. I take it no one has any issues with that?
No.
Okay. One of the things he mentions is that, I should say, and he kind of tinks on, taps Beradin's armor and the chain shirt that Diero is wearing, and says, I'm not certain how you managed to walk past the watch wearing such things, but it may get you stopped and questioned without a writ to permit you. Weapons you can carry as my guests. I would perhaps leave the armor here. I trust it'll be in. I can guarantee you it will be in safe keeping. And Father, Brother Beradin? What do you prefer? Brother Beradin, I can assure you that it will not be the first time that Wrenn has treated armor as it should be. And Wrenn shakes his head and says, no, it will not be. It would be my honor. Please, leave the armor in your room, and we will see to that it is cared for and cleaned. So, you guys have a brief respite. Malark, as you're walking away, you kind of not walking away. As you go to sort of roll things up, he stops and says, "Brother Malark, would you mind if I kept this one just for a time?"
Sure.
So he takes that and leaves it in his study. He says, as you guys are filing out, you notice that standing in the hallway is actually this, he's not as tall as either Malark or Duke Adrian, but he's a fairly tall, sturdy, and very serious-looking black man who looks like this. Oop. I don't know why I say this. I should really look first at Mapbot and see how delayed it is. He looks very much like a map of a place. He has some kind of rare skin condition.
You know, I'd call him less black than perhaps tan or dusky, if you will.
With patches of green.
You should probably get that looked at.
He really should, yes. Jadon says he should get that looked at. Okay, so once what it is this where he has Duke Adrian has canvassed, or there we go, has suggested that you guys should watch your armor. You can see that this man is clearly wearing highly polished, heavy plate armor. He has the helmet off as depicted in here. He's got, he's not bald, but it's very, very closely cropped hair, like not like a person who is a soldier for show, like some knights can be. Someone who has the capacity to put that weapon and that armor to very functional use. You also recognize the big crest on his chest as being part of the Flaming Fist mercenary company. As Duke Adrian is walking out, he says, Blaze, so I'll deal with you, so I'll speak to you in a moment, but and he kind of realizes that you guys are there. He says, Malark, Buckman, Beradin, Toraktalomar, Pock, and he actually does the whole name. Hold on, I actually know it. Wrenn, Ralnor, Torin, Pock, Diero, Dundragon, and Carrick, Moonwhisper. My right-hand man, Blaze, Older Ravenguard. And the guy kind of seems a little embarrassed by the sort of the flourish that Duke Adrian puts on the introduction, and he looks a little uncertainly at you guys and says, "Duke Adrian, I will wait in the garden." He says, "Of course, Blaze. Thank you." And Blaze kind of looks at, or Ravenguard looks at you guys and nods, gentlemen, and steps outside. So then he says, "Please, just I will deal with. You have to forgive Ravengard. Or you have to forgive Blaze. The man has many good qualities. Among them is not his courtesy or sense of humor. If you please, so I'll deal with him, and then an hour. Is that enough time to ready yourselves?" Very well, then I'll meet you in the courtyard in an hour, and we will depart. So, you guys have an hour to kind of, get unpacked, get cleaned up, settle into the. Because of the size of his place, he is kind of doubling up you guys in rooms. What is there anything you want to get done during the hour? Anything you want to? You don't really have anywhere to go. Anything you want to ask? Wrenn, the servant. Nada?
Is there a would the Duke have some sort of I don't know, monastic room or prayer room on the grounds?
Actually, no, he doesn't. But in me see if there is. You could ask. Well, then most of the temples are actually located in the upper city, at least the larger ones. There is, of course, the temple to Umberly, the bitch queen of the sea, which is called the Water Queen's House, which is just sort of on that the pier of that one promenade that kind of sticks out into the bay. And then the others are sort of up. The major faiths here are the Church of Gond. Gond is the god of invention. So it's there are two. There's the High House of Wonders and the Hall of Wonders, both of which are consecrated temples to Gond. The other, let's see here. The other things there is. Yeah, let me see here. Nothing. Okay, there is a god to time, or also a fairly. There's an actual temple to the goddess Timora, who's the goddess of luck and good fortune. But there is not a temple to. Obviously not a temple to Baranar nearby. Is that what you were looking for?
Yeah, or a neutral worshiping space that.
There's probably sort of like because they're sort of tied to the pantheons here. It's not, or tied to the specific gods. There's not really sort of like an all-purpose one. There is a shrine to Lathander called the Rose Portal, which is a sculpture located in the Wide.
Okay.
It's sort of an arch of rose-hued stone that stands on a plinth several steps above the street. By long tradition, no structures are built east of the shrine, so nothing but the city wall and the fog stands between the Rose Portal and the first rays of the rising sun. A handful of priests of Lathander once presided over the sun god's shrine, which virtually all travelers and entrepreneurs visited. Since the priest's departure, the Rose Portal has fallen from favor, but Baldurians still believe that climbing the shrine steps and passing through the arch brings good luck.
Okay. Well, barring any real space to pray or worship, Beradin will kind of strike out as far as he can in that 1 hour time frame to try to locate We'll question will end on where he might be able to find any other brothers from his order.
Okay. Well, Len says he's not aware of any dwarven prayer shrines or priests who sort of make their home here, but and certainly not any gold dwarves. But what he says he's happy to make make some room available for you if you were able to put it to your purpose.
Oh, I meant the Order of the Gauntlet, actually.
Oh, the Order of the Gauntlet.
Yeah.
Actually, so I have heard that there are members. There is a small shrine to Helm, actually relatively new on the in the lower city in the Heap, near where the sort of the last neighborhood before you make your way to the outer city, at the east end of town. There is a small kind of impromptu shrine there, and I believe that if the members of your order are worshippers of Helm, you may find them amongst them, kind of doing the work of Helm, right, protecting the underprivileged. Anything anyone else wants to do? Are you just getting ready and going to get ready to head out?
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. So
lay on a real bed for half an hour?
Yes, and it is. And boy, these are quite comfortable beds. This may not be the ducal quarters, but clearly Adrian has been treated well, treated well by life and fortune, I guess, and his place is while it's functional, everything is quite. Or it's not. No, it's not that it's functional. It's just that his stuff isn't crazy opulent. Like it's very much a person with practical and somewhat sentimental tastes, I guess, is what his place screams to you. You also notice too, Diero, as you're kind of going around, there is a lot of not a lot. There's probably about, like, say 30% of his place is decorated with some Omnian sort of touches to it. When you guys finally finish up and you get ready, you meet Duke Adrian in the kind of in the garden, and he says, "Very well, says, are we ready to depart then?"
That we are.
Says then Wallen was good enough to hire us a what is it called here? A lamp bearer. Have any of you been to the city before?
Never.
Never. Diero, you've been here before.
Aye. Hoard.
Then you'll forgive me for repeating what the what you already know. Then, but the evenings in Baldur's Gate bring fog so thick you would think that you were swimming through it. It behooves the careful traveler to bring with him hire one of the lamp bearers to and as you walk out, you see what he means. There's a guy who literally has a like a long staff that he's got on the end. There's a hook and there's a lamp that's been affixed there. It's to keep it lit along the way. It's probably about maybe just into dusk right now. And so already there's some long shadows that are being cast and whatnot. And he says, Duke Adrian says, by the time that the moon begins to rise, it will be so thick we won't be able to see 20 or 30 feet. So we won't be able to see 5 to 10 paces ahead of us. It's truly a remark. So it's truly remarkable. Fortunately, these men will. This man will light our way, and we don't have far to travel. Tell me, Diero, you've been here before. Did you learn about the Burl?
The
Do you
Burl.
have occasion to learn about the Burl? Why don't you make a... make a history check for me, Stephen. I'll give you advantage on it.
Oh, yeah. Ooh, go back. Boom, and that is a 12 plus my intelligence,
Plus your intelligence, yeah.
which is right here. Plus 0, so 12.
12, okay. Yeah, you actually know. So you kind of chuckle at him asking about that. A burl is a very it's a lower city thing. What it is if the inhabitants of the lower city have learned over time that sometimes there's trouble that can be found in or trouble that maybe finds you in the fog. If you find yourself in trouble, what you do is you go up to any door, you rap 3 sharp, swift raps, followed by a 4th, heavier blow. What that tells the person inside is you're looking for a burl. If they open the door, you pay them 2 copper pieces, and they'll give you temporary shelter. No questions asked.
Huh. Cool.
Everyone knows that if you betray the sacred trust instilled by the Burl, the neighborhood will turn on you. The neighborhood will discover it, and they will be. They'll mark you as a drowner, and like the rat you are, you may find yourself floating in the harbor. But it's things like that, community, the keeping an eye out for others. This is why I am the only Duke who prefers to live in amongst here down here than among the patriarchs. He kind of turns to Kelvalis. He says, he's like you. So I grew up in much humbler. I understand you're from Candlekeep as well. That's where I grew up, albeit long before you. Now, once we get out of this weather, we'll talk about the more serious matters that bring you here. But tell me, what do you know of the politics and of Baldur's Gate? Any of you?
All we've been told is that you're one of 4 dukes that are responsible for the comings and goings and the welfare of the city.
This is true. I am but one voice amongst 4 who otherwise largely dictate the dealings of the Baldurians and the interests of Baldur's Gate. Unfortunately, not all. We rarely find that we agree on most issues. In fact, the few that we do agree on, we largely manage to fight for a status quo. The 4 dukes do exercise a great degree of influence over the city, but it is largely the Parliament of Peers, 50 prominent elected, elected from the patriarchs and those who are wealthy enough to buy their votes. The Parliament of Peers largely dictates the broader powers and purposes of Baldur's Gate, and it's left to the dukes to implement this. Alongside that are the greedy and entrenched powers of the patriarchs, the rich families that date back to the founding of Baldur's Gate in the time of Balduran. And of course, my allies in the Flaming Fist, like Blaze that you met earlier, trying to hold it all together and keep the now 3 factions from driving themselves apart. The patriarchs see only the interests of the upper city. The merchants and the common folk see much of the lower city, and the ever-increasing number of unfortunates living in the outer city clamor for some form of protection, which the city proper refuses to grant them and refuses to even recognize them as citizens. I mention this because if you're looking for help, I'm happy to give whatever modest help I can offer, but it may take some doing if you wish the support of Baldur's Gate, the city as a whole, in dealing with the threat of the cult of the dragon.
Do any of the other dukes align themselves with you?
There are 3 others. One, a woman named Boleyn Stelmane. Duke Stelmane, or more correctly, Duchess. Duchess Stelmane used to be a reliable ally, knowledgeable, decisive, and quite willing to extend help to the to those outside of the walls of the upper city. Unfortunately, some personal tragedy must have befallen the Duchess, because in the last year she has all but lost the fire, even any shadow of the fire that used to sort of burn within her. She seems barely able to function on most days, and on her worst, she seems so deep in the grip of senility that I wonder how much longer she will be able to hold her post. The strongest other voice on the ducal council is Torlin Silvershield, one of the eldest families in Baldur's Gate, and easily the wealthiest family and longest serving family on the ducal council of all. Duke Torlin also happens to be the High Artificer, the highest ranking priest of the Church of Gond. I find him a difficult man to read. He is very clever, though I fear that a long legacy of patriarch influence leaves him disposed towards focusing on the interest of his kind. And the last on the council is Grand Duke Dillard Portier, the titular head of our council, though he turns as the flag does, whatever direction the wind is blowing. So, we have an undecisive Grand Duke, a shell of a person in the form of Duke Stelmane, but Silvershield, if you can convince him, his vote would carry the council. I'm confident of it. In fact, if you have no other plans for tomorrow evening, there is an old friend, an elf named Corin. I suspect he's having a party tomorrow evening, and I am certain that a colorful group such as yourselves would be more than welcome at his festivities and at his home. Duke Silvershield rarely passes up an opportunity to attend one of Corin's parties. Indeed, anyone who considers themselves anyone within the Patriarchs rarely passes up an opportunity to mingle with the colorful sorts that Corin manages to bring out. First, this is the last coin. Join me inside. I must briefly attend to biological matters. As does the Dungeon Master. Talk amongst yourselves.
Yay, what are we doing?
Need to piss as well.
Okay. Who am I going to throw axes at?
What's that, Steve?
Who am I throwing axes at?
So far, nobody.
Let's start with the door.
Yeah, like, should we just start a fight so we can kill some people, or what?
I think our rep in the town here.
Okay. Sorry about that, guys.
Sure.
Okay, so the once you guys walk in there, what the first thing you're hit with? It's a low sort of like the bottom floor of a 2 or 3 maybe story building. It seems like the upper levels are actually like tenements or something, but the bottom is sort of dedicated to this restaurant with a kind of a large placard on it, and there is a coin that, Steve, you recognize as one of the Omnian coins that has been nailed through to this board. And as you step in, there you get a feeling of nostalgia as the wave of wonderful aromas of Omnian cooking hit you. The savory flavor, spiced meats, the sweet meats, and the thick and mouth-watering smell of the reduced fruit kind of sides and reductions that are served over them. It's like being back home again. So, and you guys all walk in, and this unusual odor of food comes, hits you guys, and there's a small little, essentially a tavern, I guess, inside that has a bunch of folks who have the same kind of coloring as what Diero does, all sitting at different tables. And as soon as the Duke Adrian walks in, this guy comes walking over and begins speaking in, I believe it is Alzadin, or maybe it's Chonthan. I think it is. Hold up. Anyways, one of the languages from your home country there, Steve. Or from Diero's home country, I should say. Languages. Chonthan, yeah. Begin speaking a language. So anyone who doesn't speak Chonthan, you don't know what's being said, but they sort of welcome him in that, and he speaks it back to them. And then you guys are quickly seated. They bring you to sort of a nice little corner place where you can fit all of you in there and sort of have your privacy as well. He sits you all down, and everyone sits down. He orders some drinks, and then he says, "Well, just forgive me for finding the excuse to relocate our conversation to more comfortable surroundings. But if were to have this conversation, I would have it in as comfortable a location and as friendly a location as I can." You ask about first the possibility of assistance. As I say, if you can turn Silver Shield to your cause, I will have a great deal more to bring to bear against this plot of the Dragon Queen. I also have find myself lucky to be in good standing with a number of other local officials as well, including the Master of Cobbles, who is responsible for road repair and similar matters. Of course, Blaze and the Flaming Fist are loyal and trustworthy allies. They may be of great assistance in this, in particular if the force of arms should be required. Corin, who you'll meet tomorrow, Corin, if you come to the party, Corin would be of would likewise. He sits on the Parliament of Peers, and his voice, while he's neither from here nor would anyone consider him respectable company, he still has his own influence, and I believe that his voice may carry some weight in the Parliament of Peers as well. But and tomorrow during the day, if you have nothing else to do, allow me to show you my city. Let me show you what it is that we have to offer here. My little friend, you seem to have had your jaw open the entire time we've been here. Perhaps I see. Let's see if we can't find more things for you to gape at.
I would. I will take you up on that opportunity. I've never seen so many dwellings or people or anything like this.
Well, then, for those of you who are here, perhaps allow me to do a proper welcome. And as he's sort of gesturing, there's the family, and you can see you can tell it's a family that are coming over and sort of serving you. It's clearly the whole joint is run by all one kind of family. They lay a bunch of very small little crystal glass things filled with like a light amber colored liquid in it. He says this is truly a bit of there is no better way to welcome you here. A bit of home, and he points to you, Diero. This is traditional Omnian apple apple brandy, made with apples picked from fresh from the Caldwell orchards just to the south. One of the oldest orchards in there. So he raises up a glass and says, "To you, welcome to the city."
Thanks. Whatever need you.
And he takes it and takes a swig. Now, on to more serious matters. Brother Malark.
Yes.
This painting, this is what you saw in your dreams?
Indeed it is.
Because you see, I'm not sure what you've heard of my my lineage, and it never ceases to sound as fantastic as it does, or never ceases to sound as fantastic as it is when to say it, but the god you depict in this is my deceased father. I am unfortunately not able to say that I am his only offspring. I unfortunately have siblings, though fortunately now not many as I used to. In the last century, I was fortunate to, with the assistance of some of allies and good friends, and unfortunately at great cost, was able to eliminate many of the schemes and machinations that my brothers and sisters put in place, and that my largely driven by my father's will, a will which I felt tugging at, trying to direct my actions as well. I'm not sure what my father's plan was before he died, to seed his essence or what have you in all of us, but whatever it was, it seemed to attract not only the attention of his former worshippers, but also those who sought power in whatever his plot was, and the ambitions of my brothers and sisters. You see, we don't know what it was that my father strove to achieve in this plot, but what we suspect, and what I feel is true, is that he sought to cheat his death. In some divine way, I believe that he foresaw his murder, and myself and my brothers and sisters were his way of avoiding that final fate. I haven't. The last I saw of my brothers and sisters, the last of them I put down 30 years ago. It's been over 3 decades since I've heard any stirrings of them, and indeed any stirrings in my blood either, as to the purpose that my father wished to put us. If you're now experiencing these dreams, that is extremely disconcerting.
And how is it, Duke, that you came to be unaffected by your father's influence?
To be frank, I don't know. I like to credit my mother. Perhaps the upbringing that I received in Candlekeep, with the kind and loving home that they provided. And he nods to Calvalos, that no doubt you were aware of and you experienced yourself. Perhaps that, or perhaps the gods themselves are not without fault. Perhaps I am the embodiment of a god's mistake, a flaw in his plan. Whatever the case may be, whatever murderous impulse that lays in the blood and the bone of my brothers and sisters, it was never manifested and never made whole or put to purpose in me. Brother Malark, did you get any inkling as to a goal or a purpose or a scheme of any kind from your dream? Anything to suggest what he might be attempting?
The theme of the dream, in my opinion, was of a rebirth or a resurrection. So, yes, I would say that I have an inkling to his scheme. And it does seem to be to bring himself back to this earth.
My brothers and sisters, when they were alive, seemed to spare no effort to try and, well, put an end to my life. It seems that one of the blessings, if you can, who did we lose? Oh, we lost Dave. One of the blessings of my parenthood, or of my I received from my one parent, is a long life, and avoiding the murderous plots of my sisters and brothers, and living a long life for good, is one of the ways that I have seen as my ability or my way of thwarting whatever plot my father had. But to be honest, I don't know. Perhaps it was optimism, or not optimism. Perhaps it was a desire to avoid a bad answer. But I never looked into the matter as fully as perhaps I should have.
What of this? The only reference I have that comes to mind is vegan. That whispers of that crazy assassin.
Oh, Vikan?
Vikan. Do you know anything of him?
Did you guys hear that?
No.
I just came back on, so no.
Oh, sorry. Jadon was asking, or Carrick was asking, if he heard anything of Vikan. And he says, I know in my blood that there are more of my father's, there are more of my siblings out there. my half brothers, my half sisters. I've heard rumors of this Vikong. I've heard of a ageless killer when I was in but our paths never crossed. I never saw or was able to locate him. And there came a time when I grew weary of having my brothers and my sisters' blood on my hands. Evil and flawed and murderous though they may be, I know the stirring of my father's blood in me, and what it can feel like. While it doesn't exonerate them of their actions, they are children and victims of my father as much as their own victims were themselves. But if he's returning, I suppose then, if I am right, and the key to thwarting my father's will is to not let my brothers or sisters kill me, then I suppose I just simply will have to not die. He kind of laughs at that.
Faith.
So the markings that you saw, Brother Beradin, on that body, the ones you saw related to the Bone Lord, did they make any reference or seem at all in any way connected to Baal, the Lord of Murder? Dave, you remember you had a terrific role in your religion. Not at all. It's for sure it was a miracle.
Okay.
Excuse me. Oh, that's a gross cough. Yeah, a little bit of dry heave in there. Sorry, guys. So then, if my father stirs again, how shall it be that we will thwart him? I may not look it, but I'm an old man. How would you, young and spry adventurers, how would you thwart my father's plot?
I'd say we start by wrangling a dragon.
Wrangling a dragon. And how would that assist matters?
I cannot say that I have any personal experience on fighting a god.
I suppose that you find yourself. It seems as if you indeed find yourself in a circumstance where you have several to pick a fight with.
It would seem.
What does the Morning Lord tell you? Does he come to you in your dreams, brother?
He does, but he has given me no vision on how to defeat your father at this point.
Well, if any is able to hide themselves from the inquisitive light of dawn, it would be my father. I can feel that. So, tomorrow we have the party. I will introduce you to. We introduce you to some who may assist you. Oh, did we lose you? Okay. We'll introduce you to some members of the Baldurian community who may assist us And tomorrow I will introduce you to Akin as well too. But tonight, and tomorrow you will no doubt have to suffer through the presence of members of the Patriarchs. You may find yourself with more patience than I find, but they are often the most wearisome of the attendees at Corrin's parties. But that will be a matter for tomorrow. Perhaps tonight. Gods plotting against us. Cults stealing from the poor. There is much to be righted, but perhaps I can wait till tomorrow. What say you to that?
Heavy topic.
Sounds good.
A nightcap is more appropriate.
Very well. Then, let us eat until we can fit nothing further in our stomachs. Let us drink until we have to carry each other home. And tomorrow, we'll face the problems of the world. Agreed?
Agreed.
Great.
With that, he kind of toasts, and he orders more food be brought over for you guys. I think for the first time in a long, long time, we're actually not going to end on a cliffhanger. So we're only 10 minutes off, and to be honest, I don't know if we're going to be able to get into more of the session. I think next session we'll dive in, and then things will the excrement will hit the oscillating fan, as it were, and we'll get going there. But yeah, that will be the point where we wrap things up for the evening. For those at home, thanks so much for joining us for another installment of the Live from the Sword Coast podcast, and we will see you folks in 2 weeks' time.